Welcome to Akron Community Voice, a partnership with Be Me Akron and BUpodcasting.com. Now here's your hosts, Kat McDaniel and Ace Epps.
So welcome everyone to a very special episode of the Akron Community Voice. We are being sponsored by Mortar at the Akron Urban League. Why should you join Mortar? So glad that you asked. You'll receive practical training. You'll be connected to an entrepreneurial community of funding preparation as well as ongoing visibility. And finally, you can give them a call at area code 330-434-3101 or you can apply at wearemortar.com/Akron. All right. So like I said, we have two very special guests today. Let me go ahead and introduce them right now. Our first guest, he is the former chair of the House of Finance Committee, former state representative for Athens County from 2017 to 2025. We have Mr. Jay Edwards with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
We also have Mr. Jason Legg. Jason is the trustee for the Tri-County Building Trades. He is also the executive board member for the AFL-CIO. He is the Ohio District Council Sergeant at Arms. He's also my boss, but he's also the business manager for Local 894. Jason, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, cool. So we're just going to jump right in. You guys with that?
Absolutely.
All right, so my first question is for you, Mr. Edwards. Why is union support so important for your campaign?
Union support, from the time I ran for office to up until today, union support, it's been a part of my life, my entire life. It means everything to me. Quite frankly, when you look at the people that are struggling across the state right now, it's working class people. And I made a vow when I ran for office, I was not going to do anything to adversely affect. In fact, I was going to do things proactively to try to help working class people. And, you know, where I come from in Southeast Ohio, if you're not supporting labor, if you're not supporting unions, you really shouldn't run for office, because that's the type of caliber of people that we have in Southeast Ohio. And so it's been a big part of my career. And quite frankly, I think it's a very important thing for the state of Ohio to make sure we're representing unions and labor across the board.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So, Jason, I know that you and I talked a little bit about off camera about right to work. Can you, just for layman's terms, can you give us a quick breakdown of what it actually is, the right to work?
Right to work means that you're going to cut Davis-Bacon out. They're going to try to destroy the unions, not giving people job security where protection of the unions can offer them. Prevailing wage be cut. No PLAs on any projects. It can also affect with your unemployment. Everything the union is for, right to work is against.
All right. So, Mr. Evers, let me ask you this. So, we talked about right to work.
Yes.
So, for you, why? I know one of your do I say constituents? Is that the right word? I don't know. Okay.
My
so
people,
your
my constituents,
your
absolutely.
constituents. I'm sorry. Nope. Your opponent. That's
My
what I want to
opponent,
say.
yes.
One of your opponents is campaigning on the platform of right to work.
Yes.
I understand that you are against right to work. Can
Completely.
you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So, you know, the big thing for Ohio, when you're looking at the state of Ohio and my role previously as a state representative, when the state hands over money for projects, whether it's roads and bridges, whether it's buildings, infrastructure projects, we want to make sure we have a qualified workforce that knows what they're doing. We want to make sure we have a workforce that can pass tests. We want to make sure we have workforce that knows what they're doing. And, you know, quite frankly, we want to make sure we're paying those folks appropriately. And so the big thing for Ohio is prevailing wage, making sure that we're bidding projects prevailing wage. And so, you know, quite frankly, you look at union versus non-union across the state of Ohio, a lot, when you're dealing with union, you're getting a qualified workforce, you're getting people you know can pass a drug test, you're getting people that don't get work unless they get paid, don't get paid unless they go to work. Mm-hmm. You're getting people that you're going to make sure it's done the right way. It's usually going to be on time and under budget. When you're getting those sorts of things, you're getting people that are less weeks unemployment for the state of Ohio. You're getting people that aren't supplementing with Medicaid benefits. They're not supplementing with food benefits because they're being paid appropriately. So I think it's so important that we make sure we protect prevailing wage in the state of Ohio, make sure we protect project labor agreements and against right to work. And you're right, my opponent sponsored legislation to get rid of those things. That's fine. That's where she's at. I'm where I am. And anything negative about her, I would say there's two ways to campaign. I'm talking about what you're going to do or go around and bash your opponent. I'm not going to bash your opponent, but there is clear, stark differences between us, and supporting labor and supporting unions and making sure we protect prevailing wage and project labor agreements and fighting against right to work is where we stand. And quite frankly, I think it's where most Ohioans stand.
Thank you for that. So, Jason, I'm going to piggyback off of his answer with prevailing wage. Why is prevailing wage so important from your perspective?
Well, I think that that's what separates us from the non-union. Prevailing wage is what sets the tone for minimum wage, for the state of Ohio, and it gives our members, a good, honest wage for a good, honest day's work, and it helps them, to be able to, with the cost of living is going higher, so it gives them,
Right. So we want to be able to make ends meet, right? We want to be able to have honest day work for an honest day pay. We want to be able to have workers working alongside people who are qualified, who can do the job, and not just anybody off the street. So, Mr. Edwards, we talked a little bit about your opponent again wanting to cut unemployment from 26 weeks to 13 weeks. Why would that be so difficult for your constituents?
Well, first off, again, it's just picking on working people. It's picking on labor, and I'm against that totally. But also, labor doesn't want 26 weeks unemployment. That's a fallacy that some people believe, is that they want 26 weeks off and they want this unemployment. The fact remains, especially in a state like Ohio, these union guys can't control the weather. They can't control when they're going to have work, when they're not going to have work. Trust me, most of the labor guys I talk to want to be at work. They don't get paid unless they're at work. They don't want to take up 26 weeks, but occasionally, some years, we know we have snow, we know we have rain, we know we have cold weather, we know we have certain things where concrete can't be poured or certain things can't be done. This is just another protection, and I don't want to take that away from the working class people. Again, to get back to your earlier question, not to talk too long here or not to ramble, but when you think about labor, you think about prevailing wage and paying someone what that's worth. We hear all the time that prevailing wage is, you'll hear from people like my, it's bureaucratic and it leads to less competition and it's discriminatory towards ABC contractors or non-union contractors. I think it's discriminatory to pay someone $13 an hour as opposed to paying them $40 an hour when they've trained their workforce and done things the right way. We talk a lot of politics about kitchen tables. Let's think about that family at the kitchen table. Let's think about that glass of milk. I know in today's we don't have milk deliveries anymore like we used to back in the day.
Right.
You think about that milk that's sitting in the middle of that table, and think about a union worker versus a union worker. A non-union worker, they may be supplementing with SNAP benefits. They may be supplementing with other means of income, and they're sitting around the table with their kids, and they're struggling, and they're not in proper work environments. They're in safe conditions. To use SNAP benefits to pay for that milk that sits at that table, and that the sense of self-worth that gives you by the fact that you can't even make enough to feed and take care of your kids and take care of your family, versus that union worker that's sitting there. He paid for that milk. He's sitting there with his family. He's coaching his kids' ball team. He's doing everything right. That sense of pride is something we have to look at in the middle class and the working class that I think is so important, and I think leads to bigger issues. When you don't have that sense of pride, it leads to other issues. We see things very similar in urban communities and rural communities, the drug epidemic and other epidemics. When you don't have that sense of pride or self-worth that you're looking for and searching in life, it leads to a plethora of issues. I always like to think about that milk and who paid for that milk in that table. And when you got a good union worker and a good union who's being paid and not discriminated against, who's making sure that the people that come after him are being trained at the proper training facilities and taking care of their people, who pays for that milk is pretty important.
I think that is a great right. Who pays for the milk, right?
Who pays
for the milk? I might have to use that. I'm going to steal it. Who pays for the milk? Jason, real quick, I'm going to ask you this question too. Why is it important? I know I asked Mr. Edwards earlier, why should we back him? But so why is it important for unions to support Mr. Edwards?
I think he said it was pretty clear about it. He supports what we stand behind, and I know he's going to have our back, just like we're going to have his. So I think that's why it's big that we support him, because he sees exactly what we see as union workers and blue class, workers and stuff, and he sees what we're do to accomplish a good life.
So one last question, because I know we're kind of pressed for time, and I know you guys got to get out of here. Mr. Edwards, 30 seconds. Why we should vote for you?
Well, I think you should vote for me because I understand working class issues, right? I look at things of whether it's right and wrong, not whether it's right and left. And, quite frankly, I think we get into often these tangents of only looking at things. The first thing most politicians look at is was that a Republican issue or is that a Democrat? I look at it as, is it a right or wrong issue? And quite frankly, if you're looking for somebody that's going to stand up for the working class, not just going to stand up for the donor class or the lobbyists or whatever the case may be, I think you're looking at him here in this room, and I think, it's state treasurer today. I don't know what I'm going to be running for in the future. I'm a younger guy and for the political world, and I think quite frankly we need more people that are willing to stand and say I'm willing to fight for the blue collar middle class. We've been forgotten about for too long.
Well, I thank you for that. I thank you for taking time out of your schedule, Jason. I thank you for taking time out of your schedule again too, for coming out and speaking with us today on Akron Community Voice. Again, Akron Community Voice was brought to you by Mortar at the Akron Urban League. If you'd like more information regarding the Mortar program at Akron Urban League, you can contact them at 330-343101, or you can apply at wearemortar.com/Akron. And finally, make sure you go out and vote. Make sure you go out and educate yourselves on the issues at hand. Again, we have Mr. J. Edwards. He is running for the state of a treasurer position. Listen, y'all, you do not want to let this pass you by. You have to exercise your right to vote. As I said earlier, a couple weeks ago in the post, freedom is not free. So make sure you go out and exercise your right to vote. Gentlemen, I thank you.
Thank you.
For joining me today.
Check out the BU podcasting community at bupodcasting.com.